At first glance, the problem looks almost absurdly simple. Between Long Island and New England lies a narrow stretch of water, about 14 miles across at its shortest practical crossing. In an age of space telescopes, underwater tunnels, and bridges stretching across open oceans, connecting these two landmasses should be routine. Yet for more than 70 years, the Long Island Sound crossing has remained a ghost project, endlessly studied, endlessly redesigned, and endlessly abandoned. On paper, the logic is overwhelming. In reality, the project reveals something deeper about American infrastructure: how power, money, politics, and fear can defeat even the most technically feasible ideas. This is the story of why one of the most obvious transportation links in the United States still does not exist, based on the provided source material. An island with no exit, Long Island is home to one of the largest concentrations of people in North America. Nassau and Suffolk counties alone house nearly 3 million residents, more people than live in many U.S. states. Despite this scale, Long Island functions like a geographic cul-de-sac. Every road connection to the mainland runs through New York City. There is no direct route north into Connecticut or onward into New England. For daily life, this isolation creates frustration. For emergencies, it creates danger. A trip that should take 20 minutes across open water can stretch into a 3-hour crawl through some of the most congested highways in America. The Throgs Neck and Whitestone bridges funnel more than 400,000 vehicles every day, pushing the region's road network beyond its limits. The only alternative is a ferry. It runs infrequently, takes over an hour to cross, and costs more than $150 round trip per vehicle. For a straight line distance of 14 miles, drivers are forced to travel nearly 100 miles instead. Few transportation inefficiencies in the modern world are this extreme. When geography turns dangerous, the inconvenience is only part of the story. In October 2012, Hurricane Sandy exposed a more alarming reality. As evacuation orders went out, Long Island residents discovered a terrifying fact. There was only one way off the island, through New York City. Highways gridlocked almost immediately. Thousands were unable to evacuate in time. More than 40 people died in New York during the storm. Climate scientists now warn that by the 2040-50s, powerful Category 4 hurricanes may regularly threaten the Northeast. When the next major storm arrives, millions of people could once again face evacuation through the same narrow bottlenecks. From a resilience and safety perspective, a Long Island Sound crossing seems less like a luxury and more like critical infrastructure. A century-old idea that refuses to die. The concept of bridging Long Island Sound dates back to the mid-20th century. In 1955, master builder Robert Moses proposed a 6-mile bridge from Oyster Bay to Rye. Moses had already reshaped New York with massive bridges, parkways, and tunnels. If anyone could push such a project through, it was him. But the backlash was immediate and fierce. Coastal communities on both sides of the Sound feared traffic, visual intrusion, and the erosion of their carefully preserved lifestyles. After nearly 2 decades of political and legal battles, the federal government killed the proposal in 1973. That should have been the end of it. Instead, the idea kept resurfacing. Through the 1980s, the 1990s, and into the 21st century, each revival brought new studies, new designs, and much higher price tags. From millions to tens of billions. Cost escalation has been one of the project's most visible obstacles. Moses' original proposal would have cost roughly $800 million in today's dollars. By the mid-1970s, multi-bridge concepts climbed into the low billions. In 2008, a privately proposed tunnel was estimated at $10 to $13 billion. Then came the turning point. In 2017, an exhaustive feasibility study by WSP evaluated bridge, tunnel, and hybrid options across multiple routes. The conclusion was blunt. The project was technically feasible, but staggeringly expensive. The most complex designs pushed the total cost toward $55 billion, potentially making it the most expensive crossing in American history. The engineering itself was not the problem. Wind, shipping lanes, seismic activity, and construction logistics were all solvable. What changed was the scale of ambition colliding with modern regulatory, environmental, and political realities. 3 designs, 1 dead end. WSP outlined 3 main approaches. The first was a full bridge, a 6-lane, cable-stayed structure spanning the Sound, with towers taller than any building in Connecticut. The second was an all-tunnel option, boring twin highway tunnels deep beneath the seabed, longer and deeper than the Channel Tunnel between England and France. The third was a hybrid, combining bridge approaches with a submerged tunnel beneath the main shipping channel. All 3 designs worked on paper. All 3 had precedents elsewhere in the world, yet none moved forward. By 2018, New York and Connecticut had studies, designs, and cost estimates. And then the momentum vanished entirely. The 3 public objections ask why the project stalled, and 3 familiar explanations emerge. First is the environment. Long Island Sound took decades and billions of dollars to clean after severe pollution in the 20th century. Construction would disturb sediment, disrupt marine habitats, and raise fears of ecological backsliding. Second is local opposition. Some of the wealthiest communities in America line Connecticut's shoreline, with median home prices exceeding $1 million. Residents do not want massive bridge towers on their horizon. On the Long Island side, smaller towns fear becoming traffic funnels for interstate commuters. Third is politics. Neither state wants to shoulder the financial burden. Public statements acknowledge the idea's complexity, but when it comes to funding commitments, silence dominates. The revenue question no one likes to ask. Behind these objections lies a more uncomfortable reality: money already flowing through existing routes. The Metropolitan Transportation Authority controls the toll bridges and tunnels funneling Long Island traffic through New York City. These crossings generate billions in annual revenue. If a direct Sound crossing opened, traffic studies suggest up to 60% of Connecticut-bound vehicles would bypass New York City entirely. That could mean hundreds of millions of dollars in lost toll revenue each year, billions over the lifespan of infrastructure bonds. From a financial perspective, the current congestion is not a failure, it is a profitable system. Proof that the impossible can be built. Critics often argue that the Long Island Sound crossing is uniquely difficult. History disagrees. Just south of Long Island lies the Chesapeake Bay Bridge-Tunnel, a 23-mile link across open water completed in 1964. It faced harsher weather, longer spans, and intense skepticism. The project opened in under 4 years, paid off its bonds within 15, and still operates successfully today. Virginia is now investing hundreds of millions to expand it. The lesson is uncomfortable. The challenge is not engineering, it is governance. Why some mega projects succeed? The Chesapeake project succeeded because it had something Long Island never did: a single-purpose authority with the power to issue bonds, acquire land, and override fragmented opposition. The same model enabled Moses to complete the Verrazzano Narrows Bridge despite enormous resistance. By the 1970s, however, environmental laws and decentralized decision-making stripped away that kind of authority. The Long Island Sound crossing became a project everyone could veto and no one could advance. The 3 paths still on the table. Despite decades of failure, the idea is not entirely dead. One proposal seeks federal designation, reframing the crossing as national infrastructure rather than a state burden. Another suggests creating a bi-state authority modeled after the Chesapeake example, consolidating power and responsibility. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most controversial infrastructure projects in America, make sure to like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments. Should the Long Island Sound be crossed by a bridge, a tunnel, or a rail link instead? If you want to be smarter about the mega projects shaping our world, like and subscribe.